Back again for another video. On today's topic, as you can see from the title, we'll be talking about a woman feeling comfortable, but not getting comfortable. And I'll go into great detail about this. Of course, you know me. This is where it all starts. I'm here to bring you the fundamentals and help you to understand and navigate your way back to the beginning and how things start to explain to where you are now and where you have been. But without further ado, let's get into it, of course. Now, I personally have an aura about me, and many women who've been around me can agree that I have a certain comfortability around me. Women usually generally say that I'm easy to get along with, easy to talk to at times. And I'm also very, how can I put it? Let's just say comforting to be around. You know, they feel safe around me. I've heard this plenty of times over and over again. I'm not sure if you men experience the same thing or if it's just a cliche thing that women say. I don't know. I don't know, but I'd like to believe that it's pretty genuine, because some women don't say this. You know, it's only just a few that say this. So it's not everyone. I would say it's a majority, but it's not everyone. Nonetheless, in doing so, they tend to get very comfortable. And I want to explain the difference between the two. And this takes time, of course. I'm sure you men know exactly what I'm talking about. You would love for a woman to feel comfortable, but think about it. Do you want a woman to get comfortable? I mean, in some circumstances, getting comfortable is definitely appropriate. Let's not be frank. Let's not kid ourselves here. Let's be frank about it, right? In some cases, that is appropriate, but in many cases, it's not. So I'm going to talk about, you know, the difference between the two and how you can avoid the problems. I've listed these things kind of in previous videos, but I think I'm going to reiterate them here because it's specifically dealing with this topic and it goes hand in hand. Nonetheless, a woman feeling comfortable, right? We all want a woman to feel comfortable around us. Most men. In most circumstances, we want a woman to feel very comfortable around us because when she's comfortable, she's more likely to do things that she wouldn't normally do with other circumstances and situations and other settings, right? And I'm sure your imagination can allude to what I'm getting to, right? But there's a problem with that. A woman feeling comfortable. Because I can tell you one thing that's for certain, that a woman who doesn't feel comfortable is the same woman who won't get comfortable, right? So we need to learn how to shut that off, where to shut that off at. And it's usually in behavior. It starts with behavior. It's all in about how you check a woman. This is the reason why you have to have rules in place, your regulations in place. I was actually thinking about putting this one on my other channel, but I think this is appropriate here. So I'm not going to get into the other side of things, but I'm going to explain it to you in the fundamental basis here. But you have to have your rules in place. You have to have your protocols in place. You have to have the way that you do things on a very good routine before a woman even shows up. She's just there to add and amplify. At best, that's what she's there for. She's most likely there. You know, I've said it plenty of times, you know, women don't like the liability of women, or men don't like the liability of women. I think I probably was the first one to say that. You've heard it a lot though. You know, a lot of people who make content listen to my channel, and I don't have a problem with anyone reiterating anything I said here. Please do, even if you make it your own as original. I don't care. But you know, they come here also to absorb their knowledge just like you all do. It's no different. Everybody is looking for solutions and answers, but not to go off topic. But anyway, because I can go on a rant about that. You want a woman to feel comfortable, but you don't want her to feel too comfortable. And how you keep this in check, again, is by your environment. You tell her how things should go and will go in your environment and what your expectations of her are. You should have a baseline to this. When I deal with, and I've had multiple submissives over my lifetime, they all have different things that they offer, of course. And this is the same thing, dealing with many men. Many men, you're not going to run into the same woman that I run into. And thus, some of the things that I say here in its specificity is not going to be appropriate for the woman that you're dealing with. But there should be an underlying thing or groups of things that you put in place well before this woman comes here in your expectation of her, no matter what she has to offer or not. And this is also a vetting process. I do suggest having a probationary period and telling her that. I tell the chick real quick, this is a probationary period. We're going to see how well you do. I treat this very much like business. And they don't have a problem with it. But that's, once again, like I said, I was teeter-totter if I should put this on my other channel, because that's how I operate. And nobody has any problem with it. I've run across women who haven't dealt with a man like me that does specifically the things that I do in the way that I do them. And that may sound like a cliche thing to say, but a lot of people don't engage in BDSM and nor the rules of BDSM either. They just think that it's some crazy stuff that people do that involves whips and chains, like, and a whole bunch of sex. Like, that's not really the case. It's structured around structure itself, and desire, mainly, and purpose. It's mainly purpose. So I have to have these things in place well before they even come here. I have a whole list of things, rules and stuff like that. I never really tell them about them, but I know them by heart because I wrote them, right? and if that ever they need a copy, I can print you one off real quick, right? Which I've never really had to, because they know what the deal is. I make it very apparently clear. But nonetheless, when it comes to stopping a woman from getting comfortable, and I'm going to explain that here in a minute. How you do this is with boundaries. That's exactly how you do it. But you need to have those things in place, and those things are in place that I have fundamentally so that apply across every submissive that I've dealt with. The first thing is respect. That is the first thing. A woman, think about it like this. If can a woman feel comfortable in respecting you? Definitely. Can a woman get comfortable in respecting you? She could, but that's never a bad thing. So there are things that are going to make it through on the other side of a woman becoming, getting comfortable. But I tend not to let too much fall on that side, because women create their own version of this outside of the things that you said as far as your protocol. But what should stand tall is the things that you have an expectation of her well before, like I said, she even shows up. The second thing on my list is communication. And I require that you have a certain level of communication. And if you don't, I will help you build that lexicon. But you need to be making a daily effort in order to communicate in the way that I see fit, in order for this to work between me and you, right? And I make that apparently clear. Like, there have been plenty of times where I tell women they had an expectation because of the men that they were dealing with, that they didn't need to tell me certain things. And no. You need to let me know immediately whenever X, Y, and Z happens. You need to. That is keeping a woman feeling comfortable, because she's feeling comfortable about her ability to accomplish those things. But that stops her from getting comfortable, because the assumption is what helps her to become, to get more comfortable, because she assumes a lot. And if you don't say anything about it, you don't check it, she's going to run off with it. She's going to think that it's okay. The third thing on my list, I expect loyalty. And that's crazy for a lot of women. Because I'm poly, okay? I prefer multiple women, but I have my practical reasons. It really doesn't have largely to do with anything sexual at all. It's just that I understand my own energy and what I have to offer. And I have my limitations, of course. I'm not going to have 10 women. That's not something I ever aspire to do. But I'm going to have more than one. And like I said, women have had a problem with that because they're like, well, can I have another guy? And I'm like, hell no. Hell no. Because I don't think, and it's so strange. I don't think women understand themselves as much in a way that men understand them. I think that is the disconnect. It's not so much that women don't understand themselves at all. It's just that they don't understand themselves from a man's point of view, which I can understand, because if you didn't have a father to reflect it off of you, of course, this is the first time you're hearing this and it doesn't make sense to you, but I'm going to explain it, of course, right? My reasoning being is because I know that women can be manipulated through sex by other men. It's hard to manipulate a woman unless she's money hungry or, unless she's in a desperate mode, that constant survival mode that I'm talking about. But an actual woman, it's hard to manipulate her without sex. It's hard. There are many things that were given to us as men in order to reign over control of women. That is our physical ability. It is our leadership skills. And best believe it has a lot to do with sex too. Because they're submitting their bodies. I don't care how a woman poses herself, whatever she does. If a man has sex with a woman unprotected and she is viable to have children, that's what's more than likely going to happen with repeated use. That's just, and her body submits to that. Regardless of what she wants, her body submits to that. So, I know that that's a means of manipulation, and I have my philosophy about, and yes, I have my philosophy, right? I have my philosophy about women with heads. The body can only have one head. No matter where the body, no matter how many bodies there are, if they don't have a head, they're dead, right? And I've talked about this in previous videos as well. And a woman cannot have two heads. She can't have two heads. Because what happens with a body that has two heads? Have you ever seen conjoined twins? They have to take turns in the things that they want to do with the body, right? And if they don't agree, there's a draw. They even fight each other. That's crazy. I've seen this. You should really look into it. But there's a draw in many cases. And the body is stagnant and no one gets to do what they want with the body. I'm not going to have that problem. Whereas me having multiple women, I am the head. There is no conflict. There is no one greater than me in this system. Okay. I control how things are going to go with each body. And that's how it works. I've never had a problem with that. I never had a problem. And if I did, I checked it quickly. If another woman was trying to lord over another woman in a certain way, then I would definitely say something about that. And I make it clear, you're not in charge here. That goes back to the whole her getting comfortable thing. You have to check this stuff as soon as it happens. If you don't, she will get comfortable in doing that. The only thing that you want her to get comfortable in is the principalities and structure that you set out for her. That's it. But men don't account for these things. When you don't check a woman, she gets comfortable. Before I go on and list any further, let's define what getting comfortable looks like, especially from a man's point of view and us observing women. It comes in the form of disrespect many times. And the reason why you have to check this ahead of time is so that she knows there's going to be consequences, because women work on a saturation basis, meaning that if your saturation of checking her is less than her saturation of doing something, she's going to think that there's a point where she can get away with something. That same thing, she's going to try you every single time. You have to check it. Sometimes you have to check it hard as hell. That's unfortunate. And sometimes that hard check is bye-bye. That's the hard check. Okay. Soft check for me is, my different routes of disciplinary action. And once again, women who aren't used to this, they hear this stuff, disciplinary action. What do you mean? I'm a grown adult, yada, yada. Shut up. You stupid. Like my man say. You're stupid, shut up. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. If you don't like what I have to say, you know where the door is. There's multiple. You can find one. All right. But what this looks like is, say for a scenario, you want a woman to, I don't know, make sure that she lifts the lid up on the toilet after she uses it. Okay. You told her, you didn't tell her. You noticed it one time. You didn't say nothing. She doesn't know. She keeps it down. This, even if she's in your space and she found it when it was up, she's going to leave it down. Okay. You don't say nothing. The next time you see it again, she uses the bathroom. You don't say nothing. The third time, you don't say nothing. Fourth time. Okay. So here's the thing. You're going to have to leave the toilet seat up, because that's how things go in this household. Right. And she says, okay. She has 3 times of where she got comfortable doing that already. And let's just say that after you told her, she did it again and you didn't say nothing. Now she has 4 times of getting comfortable doing that. 1 being after you checked her. And you come, see it again, you check her, right? And I'm making it this simple because sometimes I don't want to get too complicated with what I'm trying to lay down here. And you check her. And from that point on, she doesn't leave the toilet seat up, right? She's gotten comfortable with the thing that is more prevalent, all right? Because the correction, if you correct her more times than she's done it, she may do it again, but it's going to be a low occurrence versus of you not saying anything at all, or you saying things that are less than the occurrences that are happening, right? That is how you check her getting comfortable. You make sure that the times that she does these things and she has these occurrences outweigh and outnumber the amount of times of the occurrences. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning that you're telling her there isn't a long period of time that goes on. If it's 20 times that she used the bathroom and 4 of the times she didn't get it right, but you checked her for 16, that's more. Well, I'm just saying, that's more, meaning that let's just say that was the case. That's ridiculous, by the way, but let's just say that's the case. And you checked her. That's gonna impression upon her that there are consequences for doing those things, and you're not going to stand by without saying anything, more likely than not, right? Now, if you check her 100% of the time from the jump, she's going to always expect that that's going to be the case. That's the reason why you check this stuff right up front, because you don't want the saturation of occurrence to be greater than your checking, right? It's best to start off good. And the reason why I say that you should have your rules in place is because that's a check before there was even a situation that came about. You understand what I'm saying? You checking her before she even walks through the door. Women have to be in constant check. That is how you pretty much stop a woman from getting comfortable with the things that she shouldn't be comfortable with. They know better. They know better. These women aren't stupid at all. They know better. Okay. Don't let them fool you here. They know exactly what they should be doing. They know how they should be doing it. Sometimes you got to play the father figure, because a lot of them didn't have that. And I use the toilet seat as just a micro version of the macro things that could be going on. You got to check it. You got to have your rules in place. You have to be seasoned with yourself and how you envision things in the structure that you want well before a woman even sets foot in your door. I have a certain way that I do things in my house, and it doesn't take a woman long to become accustomed to doing those things the way that I like them done. Because if she doesn't, she's going to keep getting harder and harder checks, and to the point where she is ejected from my environment. That's the way that it goes. I don't care if we're out in public. You're going to respect my authority. That's how it works. I don't see it no other way. And I've been doing it for so long, I don't know no other way. Even start to try to tell you of how to go about this another way. I don't even know another way. This is how I know things best to be done. Now, there are women that are going to get comfortable in some things. That's just you can't account for everything. That's the unfortunate part of this. And they're going to get comfortable in doing some ways and having some expectations. But the thing that you don't want to do, you don't want to be the one that's helping her getting comfortable in things that she shouldn't. That's how simps move. That's where they get it wrong at. They help a woman get comfortable in things that they are not comfortable with themselves. Yeah. Just so that they can get whatever it is that they want from the woman. Even if it's a temporary situation, I still have my rules all day, every day. I'm not going for it. It's not going to happen. You know, I was talking to a submissive this morning, and she was like, what did she say to me? She said, what did she say? She said, hit me up when you're done. That's what she said. And I'm a stickler. Once again, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And I said, is that a question? And she laughed. And she paused. And she asked me, was that supposed to be a question? I said, I asked first. That's another check. I'm reinforcing my expectation. You see what I'm saying? At every step of the way, I don't give her an inch, not an inch, not even a centimeter. I check her at every turn of anything that could lead to her getting comfortable in the wrong things. You understand? And ultimately, she asked me the question. She said, yes, I was wondering if you would be able to call me when you're done. And I said, yeah, I can do that.
Keep in mind, this is very important, that with familiarity, it breeds disrespect. A woman shouldn't be so familiar with you that she would be able to disrespect you. That's very, very important. You have to keep her real unfamiliar when it comes to dealing with you, meaning that she knows what to expect, but she knows within that expectation what not to be comfortable with. I'll be the first to tell them real quick, don't get too familiar and don't get too comfortable.
But anyways, like, comment, and share. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Patreon if you want to support the channel. If you want to, I have a Cash App. I'm not going to put it out here. I would rather give you something in return for your money. So if you want to donate to the channel, you can definitely do that through Patreon. You can just donate whatever and then unsubscribe. That simple. But I want you to have something in return for the donation. So that content is there for that. And for those who are repeat donors, I can create separate videos for y'all as well. You could even put in requests if you want for me to discuss some topics. I don't care, whatever the case may be. I'm cool with it, whatever, you know. I'm here to support you guys in your knowledge and your understanding. And if I have the fundamental understanding, I can express that to you about whatever the topic is that you want. But anyways, this has been a Wolf and Beta Close.
And the Wolf and Alpha Attire, of course. May you have a good day. And peace be with you.